Okay, guys, so here we go. We're back at it in the Gospel School of Music with the third and final section, Chords 101. So Chords 101 is all about training you to not only know what chords to play, but the how and the why behind them. The major secret that I've discovered is that a systematic and thorough understanding of what chords you play and the movements you make is the key to mastering all 12 keys. Now, as I said in part number 2, and believe me, it's going to start clicking for you. The more familiar that you become with how the 12 keys relate to one another, the easier it will become to play in all 12 keys. I cannot stress that enough. And you're going to start to realize that you already have a lot of the needed knowledge, but now it's about learning the hidden structures underneath what you already know and putting it all together systematically. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to do a short review of what we covered in part number 2 of the Gospel School of Music. Then we'll get started with Chords 101, which will be broken down into 2 sections. In section 1, we're going to take a detailed look at the 6 most important type of chords you must know, which includes the major, the minor, the diminished, the suspended, inverted, and left-handed chords. Then in section 2, you're going to learn what I like to call the Power 10. That is the 10 chord progressions that will enable you to play almost any contemporary gospel or Christian song you can think of. And this section is going to be unlike anything you've seen before because you're going to actually learn the theory behind these progressions so that once again you understand and become familiar with what it is you're actually doing. So let's get right to it. So let's start with the most basic of all chords, the major chord. Think of the major chord as the mother chord. And since there are 12 distinct keys in music, there are a total of 12 mother chords. Now the symbol for a major chord is M-A-J, or sometimes just a capital M when it's coupled next to another symbol. Now, as you learn more about chords, one important concept to keep in mind is that chords are built from scales. And to explain this further, let's discuss how chords are created. Now, as I've done in the past, I'm going to use the key of C in this example. So when it comes to the subject of how chords are created, the first principle you should know is that chords are built in thirds. To explain this principle, let's review the makeup of the C major scale. We'll start on our root, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and back home to C. Now that we've reviewed what keys are included in the C major scale, let's create a C major triad. A major triad is made up of 3 notes and includes the first, the third, and the 5th note of the major scale. In the key of C, that will look and sound like this: C, E, and G. So these 3 notes make up a C major triad. Now with this formula, we can learn all 12 major triads. So let's do that now. Let's play all 12 major triads, and this is actually going to be your first practice routine. So let's do it. And then let's go backwards. So this will help you build up muscle memory for moving in and out of different finger positions. So this is going to be a great practice routine to also help you get familiar with playing in all 12 keys. So let's again create a C major triad, and then I'm going to point out a few different things. So we have C, E, and G. Now the thirds principle deals with the distance between each note in a chord. So using half steps as the unit of measurement, let's measure the distance between the notes of the C major triad. And I want you to pay close attention to this exercise, and I'm going to take it slow so that you really get what I'm teaching. So from the C to the E, we have 4 half steps. Let's count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4. We also know that E is the third note of the C major scale. 1, 2, 3. So we can combine these two facts to establish that a third in a major scale is 4 half steps away. And because of that, you can say that the E of the C major scale is a major third away. In other words, 4 half steps equals a major third. So now let's continue, and we're still measuring the distance between the notes of the C major triad. We just measured the distance between C and E, so now let's measure the distance between E and G. So from E to G, we actually only have 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. Now we have a problem because the principle that we're trying to teach is that chords are built in thirds, and we just learned that a major third is 4 half steps away, but the distance between E and G is only 3 half steps away. So to solve this problem, we have to look back at the C minor scale. So the C minor scale is made up of C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, and back to our 1C. Now to jump to the point, let's measure the distance from the C to the third note of the C minor scale, which is E flat. So we have 1, 2, 3. Now we also know that E flat is the third of the C minor scale. So we can combine these two facts to establish that a third in a minor scale is 3 half steps away. 1, 2, 3. And with that, we've just solved the problem that we had with the thirds principle as it pertains to the major scale. And you've just learned 2 new rules. Number 1, a major third is 4 half steps away, and a minor third is 3 half steps away. And for review, in the C major triad, E, the third note of the major scale, is 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps away from C. And in the C minor triad, E flat, the third note of the C minor scale, is 1, 2, 3 half steps away from C. So now let's play our C major triad one more time and measure the distance between C, E, and G. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, a major third, and 1, 2, 3, a minor third. Now we can complete the thirds principle with this new formula for finding a major triad, and that formula is a major triad can be found by playing a root note, a major third, and a minor third. And for review, that means root note, 4 half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 half steps, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so next we have a chord that is used in nearly every song, and that is the minor chord. Now the minor chord, much like its cousin, the major chord, can be found easily if you know the minor scale. So the symbol for minor chord is M-I-N, or sometimes a lowercase m if it's put next to another symbol. Now building upon the thirds principle that you just learned, a formula that you can use to find a minor chord in any key is going to be root note, a minor third, 1, 2, 3, and a major third, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we have our C minor triad. Now let's apply this formula to a couple more keys so that we can prove that you can use it in any key. So let's take the key of F. We have our root note, we have a minor third, 1, 2, 3, and then a major third, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we have our F minor triad. Let's do this in the key of G. We have our root note, we make a minor third, 1, 2, 3, and then we have a major third, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we have a G minor triad. So let's talk about when and where the minor chord is used most often. I'm going to play the main section of the song, Alpha and Omega by Israel Houghton. The lyrics for this section is, "We give you all the glory." And I want you to listen closely and see if you can recognize where the minor chords fall into place. So if you listened closely, you should have noticed that I played a minor chord over the E flat bass in my left hand and the B flat bass in my left hand. Now let's look at that in terms of the number system. So the E flat bass is the second note of the C sharp major scale, and the B flat bass note is the sixth note of the C sharp major scale. Now, I want you to remember this important principle concerning the minor chord. In contemporary gospel and Christian music, 8 times out of 10, the second and the sixth note of the major scale is going to have a minor chord played over them. Now, this principle is so consistent that in music, the minor chord of the sixth note in a major scale is called the relative minor. So to explain that, if you want to find a relative minor, all you have to do is count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the key of C sharp, and then play a minor chord for that sixth note. So we'll play a B flat minor chord. And remember, using the thirds principle, we just learned how to find a minor chord. So we have our root note, a minor third, 1, 2, 3, and then a major third, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we have our B flat minor chord. And that's the exact chord that we played in Alpha and Omega. We made this movement right here to start off. And here comes our minor chord. There it is, that B flat minor. Now the other place that I played a minor chord was over the E flat bass again. And that was this chord right here. So let's play that through one more time so I can point that out. Here it comes. There's that minor chord.